Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are once again going to be doing another Left 4 Dead 2 ranking video. In today's Left 4 Dead 2 ranking video, we are going to be ranking all the equipment that is in the game. Now, this is going to be what is in your HUD bar. So this is going to include things such as pain pills, the flashlight, the med kits, biobombs, etc, etc, etc. So anything essentially that's in the hotbar. Now, these are going to be very interesting to rank because we have a variety of different ones and we're going to be combining them all into one giant set. We're not going to be doing something like ranking all the health kits items or ranking all the throwable items. We're not going to be like that weird about it, but we are going to be definitely ranking in all the equipment. And in the last video, I will admit that the last video was a very interesting concept. I decided to actually rank all the game modes, but that didn't necessarily seem to hit home with you guys. So, I'm pretty sure that you guys want to see more of the core gameplay stuff, such as maps, guns, and characters, but I definitely am going to still include some of the more uncon stuff, definitely, but I will try to implement some more of the more main stuff that you guys would want to see, because the last video, I'll admit, didn't necessarily do that hot, which is okay. So if you guys could do me a favor and just let me know in the comment section down below what is the next ranking video you would like to see next, just so that way I can pique your guys' interest at the right times. But in the meantime, we're going to be doing another miscellaneous, which is just going to be ranking the equipment. If you guys end up enjoying today's video, as always, please consider supporting the channel by dropping a like, comment, subscribe, ringing the notification bell, the whole entire YouTube shtick, as always, because I appreciate it and it helps my channel grow. And then that way you can tell YouTube personally, like, hey, we like this guy enough that we're willing to support him, you know, recommend his content to us more often. Because if that happens, then you guys can see more often and get more videos that benefit you, such as tips, guides, and just funny moments and stuff like that. But anyways, enough with my TED Talk / Billy Mays advertisement. Let's begin with the actual video. Okay, so coming in at the last spot, or spot number 9, this is going to be the flashlight. The flashlight is very interesting because honestly, I think a lot of people in their eyes do not count this as a piece of equipment. It's something that you will always default have in the game. It's the only piece of equipment that does spawn with you every single time you load into a game. And the only thing that this is useful for is specifically fog or dark maps. Now, that is still a benefit, don't get me wrong. I definitely still do consider the flashlight to be useful. It's not 100% useless. If you're playing Dead Center and you're playing on the first chapter and you're trying to end up getting out of the elevator during the fire, or if you're trying to play something like Hard Rain and you're playing during the dark and you just want to be able to see, the flashlight will be always there and it's still useful for you. Now, unfortunately, there is a caveat to this where, unfortunately, it's going to get you killed if you run into a witch. And some people, even including myself, have at times forgotten to turn my lights off. And I know that the characters verbally remind you, but sometimes when you're in the moment of zombie chaos, it's very, very hard to remember to turn off your flashlight. Sometimes it's just forced to have it. Plus, also, there's times where I feel like we can all juke out the witch with the flashlight, and we don't necessarily need to turn it off. We can just like run past her or something like that. But unfortunately, sometimes the witch will end up killing you if you leave your light on, so it does end up having a hindrance to you. And overall, it's just not really that useful just because you always have it. You want to get more of the uncommon stuff. So that's where I put the flashlight. I know it's talking a lot for a flashlight, but I want to give my justifications for it. So now let's move on to the actual, like, legitimate, like, first piece of equipment. Alrighty, now coming in at the next spot, these are basically neck and neck, so I'm just going to kind of do them back to back, even though they do have their own spots. This is going to be the frag rounds and the incendiary rounds. So the frag rounds and the incendiary rounds spawn in a decent amount in the game. They're in niche spots. I could say that I probably find like maybe 2 at the very least per campaign. And they definitely do serve their purpose. They are special ammo types that will allow you to end up having your guns be stronger. The incendiary rounds making it where your enemies will catch on fire, and the frag rounds basically dismember them. Now, I'm going to be ranking the incendiary rounds over the frag rounds in this instance, because the frag rounds, if you're too close to your enemy, you actually will damage yourself, whereas the incendiary rounds, it's not nearly that bad. When you end up shooting an incendiary round into a zombie, it will actually not damage you. Now, the incendiary rounds also can end up temporarily, or sometimes permanently, depending on the infected, because of the duration of how long their health will last through it. It will temporarily set the infected on fire, which can be great in instances such as catching a special infected when they're not ready and being able to end up saving your life. Now, this is available to everybody. You end up putting this where your health kit and your defib slot would go. So unfortunately, you can't carry these around with you. Almost always, you want to end up using these just straight off the rip, which is kind of what they're meant for in instances. But they're not really that good because they only end up giving you really just one clip. I mean, like, you don't really end up having that much of use. Like, for example, like, if you end up getting, like, let's say, a decent amount of kills, you know, on a natural basis, this doesn't really need to end up helping you. This is kind of like a newbier thing. It's just being like, hey, someone's new to the game, let's give them some really powerful temporary ammo, which is cool. But in instances like where me and my friends are like kind of like veterans at this game, it really is just kind of like a niche thing. It really is only maybe good for like one kill, because you can reload during incendiary or frag rounds. Like, for example, if I have, like, let's say my first full clip full of it and I only shoot so much before I reload, it's a certain amount of bullets per. So, like, for example, let's say that I end up having a shotgun that I fill with either or. I get 10 shots. Now, if I shoot 3 and then reload, I still have 7 shots, and that's good. It means I don't waste my ammo because, like, I threw, like, let's say a special clip out. But once those special bullets are gone, they're gone, and you can't reuse them again. Then same thing for your teammates. Like, you only all get one magazine or one set full. And so once they're gone, and they're just not really useful other than that. They're very niche, but they're still better than the flashlight overall. Alrighty, now coming in at the next spot, this is going to end up being the Biobomb. So this is one of the 3 throwable items that are in the game. And for me personally, this is my least favorite because unfortunately all it is just an escape method. Really, the Biobomb and the Pipe Bomb are both escape method grenades. But the thing is that the Pipe Bomb does it better because it actually deals damage, whereas the Biobomb does not. You can use the Biobomb in certain instances, such as trying to, like, throw it on the tank and do a septic tank and get the tank to get attacked, but the zombies do little to no damage to the tank, insta-KOs them. That really all it does is slow them down. In fact, it does it just in general. Like, this whole entire idea is that it slows the zombies down. You throw it, it makes a fart cloud, and the zombies go after for a while, but then they don't die, and then later on they are going to get you. And there's really no reason to throw this unless you were on low health, so since the zombies do not die from this, if you're not constantly shooting them while running away, which is sometimes hard to do, they just come and get you later. So you better hope that something is nearby to help you in that instance. The Biobomb is kind of like a scapegoat piece of equipment, and really that's all it is. I personally do not like the Biobomb all that much, and I much rather would use something like a pipe bomb or a Molotov, or even like a pain pill bottle essentially instead. So that is where I'm ranking the Biobomb. Now let's move over to the next piece of equipment. Alrighty, so for the next piece of equipment, this is going to end up being the laser sights. These are actually extremely useful in the game. Laser sights actually help you increase your accuracy. Now, I believe that they slightly are different on console compared to PC. On console, they give you, I believe, a bit of aim assist on top of the fact that they end up shrinking your crosshair. Whereas I believe with the mouse and keyboard, since there is no aim assist, it just ends up giving you a tighter crosshair. Which, yes, you do also get the visual laser, but we all have a pretty fair idea of where we need to aim, but the crosshair being shrunk down is useful game mechanics-wise because we end up having less of a spraying pattern. See, your gun, when you end up shooting it in a game, the smaller your crosshair is, not only can you be more accurate, but also your bullets will be able to end up just functioning overall pretty good. Like, for example, you can have an enemy within your crosshair, of course, but the smaller the crosshair, the more pinpoint you can be with it, such as getting headshots instead of just genuinely shooting them. And the fact that you can end up getting the laser sights on everything is very, very useful. Now, this only spawns in a select few times. You'll very rarely end up finding these almost all the time. I believe you could theoretically get it once per map. I believe there always is a pair of laser sights almost in all the Left 4 Dead 2 maps. I can't guarantee Left 4 Dead 1. But you will find these very rarely in Left 4 Dead 1, if not little to none. But in Left 4 Dead 2, you can find them a fair bit. I think Left 4 Dead 2 always has at least one spot per campaign you can get laser sights. If not, it definitely spawns in at least once. So yeah, the laser sights are overall really good just because they make your gun stronger, and I definitely am incentivized to keep my gun if it's got a laser sight on it. Alrighty, coming in at the next spot, this is actually going to be another throwable, and this is, funnily enough, going to be the pipe bomb. Now, the pipe bomb is a little bit better than the Biobomb because it explodes, which causes zombie damage and therefore zombie kills. In fact, you can even use this to your advantage and combo this with a Biobomb sometimes, making it where you can get a lot of kills. But yeah, the Biobomb and the pipe bomb both are kind of like distraction abilities. They make any common infected chase, and it will make them get off your back. Now, the pipe bomb, since it does explode, like I said, it will kill the enemies. This is huge because this will allow you to get the basic common infected off your back. Now, this doesn't kill a lot. Unfortunately, you can only get so many before the pipe bomb will explode, but it has a decent chucking radius, and it will definitely end up giving you some slack to be able to focus on the special infected. It's really just slightly better than the Biobomb, but the fact that it explodes and kills things makes this significantly higher on my list. So that is the pipe bomb. Now let's move over to the next piece of equipment. Alrighty, so for the next piece of equipment, this is going to be our first bottom health item, or just bottom equipment item, and this is going to end up being the adrenaline shot. So the adrenaline shot is an okay piece of equipment, and it definitely is very useful in certain niche scenarios. The adrenaline shot allows you to not only gain temporary health, but it allows you to have increased action and movement speed. So therefore, if you're in a situation where you're playing, like, let's say, the Coldstream finale or the Parish finale, and you really need to get out of there, and you're really in a pinch, and you're starting to struggle on health, for example, you can stick yourself with an adrenaline shot and get going. This is also really good combo with melee weapons, because if you stick yourself with adrenaline and have a melee weapon, you can just hack and slash through the common infected with ease. And it does make it a very good piece of equipment in those instances. Now, unfortunately, you don't get this effect for that long. On the contrary, with like pain pills last for longer but have less effects, whereas the adrenaline shot is all at once and goes away significantly quicker. The adrenaline shot is really only useful for the first couple of seconds, and after that point, you're basically slim pickings. It will have an initial burst, and then it will slowly start counting down, but a lot faster than what something like the pain pills would do, therefore causing it to be only just a short burst of helpfulness to you. In my best bet, I would honestly recommend the pain pills almost every time. The adrenaline shot is really only useful on the offensive maps, such as the Parish or Coldstream finales, for example. It's useful, and it definitely has its niches. You can also end up using it in certain instances where, like, for example, like, let's say you need to heal, and you really need to heal quick, or if you need to end up defibbing somebody, that can also end up being a big clutch. Very, very useful. But at the end of the day, it can only do so much. So that is going to be the adrenaline shot. Now let's move over to the next piece of equipment. Alrighty. So now for the next piece of equipment, this is going to be our last throwable, and this is going to end up being the Molotov. The Molotov is my favorite throwing item in the game, and it's one of my overall favorite pieces of equipment inside of the game, because it's super, super useful. I always carry this because I personally play on advanced mode or expert mode, and if you run into something like, let's say, a tank, which is what I mostly use this for, and you throw it, you have a significantly higher chance of killing the tank and therefore surviving. Because the tank, if you stick him with a Molotov, he will stay on fire until he dies. Once he is on fire, he will stay on fire. Therefore, all you have to do is essentially outrun him, making it a lot easier to survive because you don't have to worry about shooting the tank 24/7, and you can more rather just clear the way and kill the horde than focusing on laying lead into the tank, especially if you're also like a teammate or two short. So I honestly really love the Molotov. It's very useful. It's not exactly too useful on anything other than the tank. It's very, very niche to the tank. I mean, you can definitely use it on other infected, don't get me wrong, but you shouldn't. But it's still definitely useful nonetheless. So it's very niche specifically the tank, but it's very useful, and I always carry it with me. So even though it's niche, you definitely should always have it on you. Alrighty, now we're getting close to the end here. Let's look at the last few. So coming in at the next spot, this is going to be our first med kit or health theme item, and this is actually going to be the defib. The defib is extremely useful. The reason why it's so high up on this list is because it brings back your teammates, obviously, because that's what a defib unit will do. But the defib unit, in this case, is very, very useful because since it can bring your teammates back to the from life from the dead instantly. You don't need to end up using the closets And so if you're playing something like realism, you can end up using this when your teammates wouldn't normally spawn a closet, basically giving them a second chance. Plus also as well is that if you're playing something like versus or especially survival, this is extremely useful to keeping your team alive and just being able to keep the streak going, because the more led downstream, the more chances that you have of being able to end up killing the special infected that may be in your way. Tanks will die faster, the hunters will die faster, the smokers will die faster, etc, etc, etc. This is extremely useful in expert campaigns as well, because if you're in an expert campaign where the health kits are really only useful once you're in black and white, because you end up having one down before black and white, and then after that you need to use it right away, it is extremely clutch, especially if you end up doing the kill strategy where you kill your teammates within the safe room, so that way they spawn back in with green health and you still have both the medkit or the defib unit that you may or may not have. It makes it extremely clutch. So that's why I have the defib unit there. And then we're going to obviously have 2 spots left. Alrighty, so coming in at number 2, we are now going to be ranking the next health item, which is going to be the medkit. Good old classic medkit. The default item that you get off spawn, the default just healing item that you end up having in the Left 4 Dead series. The way that you would be able to end up healing yourself if you were in a clutch situation other than what you have as the get by items. And the med kit is extremely useful, especially in the higher difficulties where you're playing on expert and you end up having it where after one down, you end up having one more chance before you go into black and white, making this extremely beneficial to you and your team. You can also end up using this on your teammates as well. Now, I know you can also use every other healing item on your teams as well, but being able to have an instance where, like, let's say that you're all in green and, like, let's say one guy is in the red, if you end up healing him back to green, he's going to be extremely grateful. It's going to be really helpful to him, honestly. Because sure, you can end up giving him some pain pills or adrenaline or something like that, but that's only going to get him so far. If you give him all of his health back, oh boy, is he back in the game. He's ready to swing. The med kit is extremely useful. It always has been useful, and I don't think there's ever been an instance where it's not really been useful. Everything else is very, very niche. But the med kit and then the number 1 spot is pretty much always useful in my humble opinion. Alrighty, now coming in at the number 1 spot, this is going to be the classic, the meme, the pain pills. The pain pills are the best piece of equipment in Left 4 Dead because they pretty much do everything. Now, they don't do everything well per se, but they do it good enough. The pain pills would obviously go in the slot where you end up having your adrenaline shots. And the pain pills, I honestly think, are the best piece of equipment in the game, is because they allow you to be able to end up having a second chance, but at the same time spawn it a hell of a lot more often and are also a lot more useful. What do I mean by second chance? Well, let's say that you're in a situation where you're in the yellow or in the red. Basically, this is when you would end up using anything to end up keeping you alive or keep yourself in the game. Now, when you're lower on health, you're slower, you are weaker, you're more susceptible to getting killed or at least knocked, and you are a lot more just likely to die. Now, if you have a pain pill on you, what you can do with it is that you can end up increasing your movement speed. It lasts a heck of a lot longer than the adrenaline shot. It basically is temporary medkits, and you can give this to your team. You can always have it on you and stack it with a Molotov or a medkit. Like, if you end up having Molotov, medkit, pain pills, that's like the god setup, because you essentially end up having your health on you twice, and you also have a insta-kill to the tank. It's literally the god setup. Now, the pain pills spawn in also a hell of a lot more often, I feel, than a lot of the other items in the game. You can have the defib unit, which is really useful, but unfortunately doesn't spawn that often. You can end up having the adrenaline shot, but the adrenaline shot is only temporary, whereas the pain pills last a heck of a lot longer. The pain pills spawn in the most often for the most amount of benefit to you and your team. That's why it also is the number 1 spot, other than the fact that I just personally like the memes. It's just the best piece of equipment in the game, and Lewis made it infamous with his famous pills here quote, which also is the cherry on top. But yeah, guys, that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you truly ended up enjoying. If you did, please consider dropping a like, comment, subscribe, all that beautiful stuff. If we can end up getting around 5 likes yet again on this video like we have with the past videos, I would tremendously appreciate it. I'm going to judge the likes based off your guys' interest in the topic, not necessarily the fact that I'm doing the ranking videos, because the last 3 did extremely well, and the last one may have ended up being placebo because of YouTube algorithm issues, but I'm not going to necessarily blame it on anyone. We'll just wait and see. But if you in general end up enjoying this video, the best way you can support it is by letting me know by leaving a like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, guys, I hope you end up enjoying the video. If you did, just once again, just obviously please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I'd be forever grateful, and it'd be able to let me know what videos you guys want to see, and I can bring them to you guys. But yeah, guys, that is it. I hope you end up enjoying another YouTube video for the most unique YouTuber you're ever going to see. Peace out, guys.